It's a privilege for Crew to be hosting you this morning. My name is David, your MC for today. Welcome to How to Host a Digital Day of Outreach webinar this morning. Our speakers today need no further introduction. Simon cares about bringing the unchanging gospel to a changing generation. God has written this burden into his story through making him a creative who gets energized by ideas, innovations, and strategies, and loves seeing lives impacted when the gospel is creatively and clearly communicated. Lillian is passionate about coaching people to discover and live out God's call in their lives. She is a strategic thinker and seeks to help leaders use creative digital strategies to help fulfill the Great Commission. Lillian is also the overall coordinator for #Ready. Both have been staff with Crew for more than 20 years. They serve as senior digital strategists with the Global Digital Strategies Vice President team of Crew in Orlando. They are also worship leaders in Covenant EFC and shepherd 3 young adult children. I'll be getting Lillian to give a quick overview of #Ready in tandem with Thirst Collective's #Publish piece. Over to you, Lillian.
Thanks, David. Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again to today's webinar. We are so glad to have you with us. My name is Lillian, and I'm the lead for #Ready. So please allow me to share with you a little bit more about what it is. #Ready. Ready stands for reaching everyone around you. It is an initiative of Crew Singapore to activate and empower all Christians, and in particular young adults, to share Christ in everyday life. And we are privileged to be working with our key partners, the Thirst Collective, One for Jesus, as well as Indigitus. Simon, who is our speaker today, is the co-founder of Indigitus and will be representing Indigitus as he shares with us about Digital Days of Outreach. And he's actually calling in now from Dallas, Texas. For #Ready, we take our reference from 1 Peter 3:15, which says, worship Christ as the Lord of your life. And if someone asks about you, about your hope as a believer, always be ready to explain it. And we know that for many Christians today, especially for the young adults or millennials, the mindset towards evangelism is that it is scary, it's unwelcomed, it doesn't work, and many feel like it is wrong even to impose their beliefs on another. Well, #Ready seeks to attempt to change or shift these mindsets to help Christians see that evangelism doesn't have to be scary. It can be a natural thing to do, and it is our calling as believers to share the gospel, but in a way that is winsome and that will connect with the people around us. We want to do it through conversations, through our stories, through building relationships with others. This #Ready campaign goes from January through April. Though we will continue to update and highlight new resources on our #Ready website to help people to share their faith even after the campaign ends. In January and Feb, we are having a series of open webinars to equip the church to be an effective witness for Christ in our current digital world. We've already done 2 webinars, and you are now here for a special webinar just for leaders. As a part of #Ready, we engage in topics like how to be a Christian influencer, how to begin meaningful conversations, how to be yourself and still be an evangelist on social media, how to use your life stories to connect and engage with others and lead them to spiritual conversations. And you will see that digital outreach is simple and everyone can play a part. In March to mid-April, our second phase, in tandem with Thirst Collective's Publish Peace campaign, over the 40-day Lent season, Crew seeks to come alongside every young adult to share the gospel in everyday life and to be salt and light. This will be through a community Telegram channel where we journey with young adults to practically live out their faith through encouragement, sharing missional living tips, and real life authentic stories of people who have succeeded and failed in evangelism. We hope to help them overcome the fear and stigma of evangelism, and then to do it. So 4 months of encouraging young adults and journeying with them to walk the talk, tangibly demonstrating God's love to others, and to talk the walk, to have authentic conversations that point people to Jesus, to be ready for a lifetime of missional living. As you see in the next slide, that's what we hope to do with our young people and with, the church as well. And in the final phase of our campaign, we want to equip leaders of churches, organizations, and small groups to be able to host digital days of outreach, or DDO, over the Easter weekend or the week of Easter, where groups of Christians, Christian communities can come together to intentionally reach out to their networks and friends over social media and other digital platforms. This is a concerted effort to rally others to come together, come alongside one another, and intentionally start those conversations with pre-believing friends. It is also putting into practice what they've learned through #Ready. And that's why you are here today for this webinar, to learn what a DDO, a Digital Day of Outreach, is and how to organize one. We hope today you will be excited to host one yourself. So we want to invite you, our dear leaders and friends, to join us to activate your church, your small group, your community, your youth, young adults, seniors, and so on, everyone, for a DDO, to be #ready and to reach everyone around them. We hope to see communities all over Singapore embarking on a digital day of outreach together over the week of Easter. If you'd like to know more about #Ready, and you'd like to partner with us, we invite you, come reach out to us at ready@cru.org.sg, or you can head over to our website, cru.sg/ready, to find out more. You can also scan, we have a QR code for you to go to our website. You can find out the phases, what's happening, the webinars, the information will be on our website. Now, without further delay, I will hand over the time to Simon to share with us more about a digital day of outreach. Over to you, Simon.
All right. Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me because I have no verification, but it seems if it's okay, I would keep going. I'm just really excited. Thanks for choosing to join us this morning, Singapore morning. It's evening for me here in Dallas on this webinar, how to host a digital day of outreach. On behalf of Indigenous and also the #Ready team from Crew SG, we're so glad you're here. Today's session is really going to be practical because you get to apply what you learn. Okay, you have the unique opportunity to be used by God to rally many others to step up to the mission, to shine for Jesus. So for that, I want to commend you you for taking time this morning to be part of this training. This is a huge step of faith, and many will be blessed because of you. I'll say upfront that the material that I'm going to present to you is not meant to be prescriptive. I don't want to tell you exactly what you need to do. You'll hear some ideas, some frameworks, suggestions, and more. However, we do know that it often helps to start with a baseline, or some would say an example or a template. So that's what we'll offer you. And we know that you know your community the best, your church, and as God leads you, you feel free to be creative, innovate, try new things and more, and then share with us what you did. So for today, we want to share with you some of the best ideas gleaned over these past years of conducting these events. Okay, so, well, as you know, we want to put these ideas in your hands, and we've prepared a kit for you to download. I will show this again at the end, so don't worry, but I just want you to know that my team is here to help you. We want you to have a fun and successful experience, and we truly believe God is going to bless you and use you powerfully through this. Now, let me begin with a story. Last year, in the midst of the pandemic, I was approached by a local church here in Singapore to meet with a group of young people from a country that's way up high in the Himalayas. Over the course of the week, actually, David and I conducted some lessons over Zoom. And then on the final night, we embarked on a digital day of outreach with them. There were just 22 of them, and in spite of the rainy weather, bad connection, and more, they shared a gospel video with 137 people. 22 people, 137 people. And they invited each of them, their friends, to consider the claims of Christ. In that short hour, people responded and chatted with them, and they ended up with about 34 gospel conversations. So awesome. Now, these young people were enthusiastic. They were learning for the first time what it meant to live their life on mission in a digital world. I was so encouraged that they readily stepped up and they realized that they can truly play a part in the Great Commission. Here's a picture of a brother and a sister. They were so pumped up, about this unique opportunity to be involved in this fun and simple way to connect and share with their friends online. And one of them said it was an eye-opener for me. I never thought, these ideas to share the gospel, with my friends and other people. So this is something that you are going to get to participate in, this very thing. So let me start from the bottom, right, or from the beginning. What is a digital day of outreach, or what we affectionately call a DDO? Right? What is the unique opportunity we have through Digital Day of Outreach? And here you have it. Many of us have hundreds or even thousands of connections through social networks, and we can use these to influence and impact our world. A digital day of outreach is simply a fun and simple event that helps Christians to be intentional in reaching out to their friends and family online. And then, more importantly, trusting God to help them start conversations where they can share the good news. All right? It's just this fun and simple way to intentionally reach out, but trusting God for those conversations that can lead to telling about the good news. Indeed, we have the greatest news of all time. God has given us a call to help bring hope to our world. And through the DDO, you can be practically involved in reaching your circles of influence. Through the DDO, you get to connect and talk about Jesus with your friends and family. And through the DDO, you'll be using this very natural channel that God has blessed us with, the places where people hang out anyways, to trust God to ignite meaningful connections and conversations. So before we jump into the mechanics of how we do this digital day of outreach, I want to spend just a bit of time to understand the why. Why does it matter? I'm a firm believer that the why always comes before the how, and it drives the how. If we're not clear about why we're doing something, we'll give up quickly when we face a challenge or an obstacle. So just let me talk about this for a while. Why does it matter? I believe it's about loving God, loving others, and loving His call or mission. Why does it matter? Loving God, because the power of the gospel can change lives. We have the awesome privilege to help people experience His love and forgiveness. This is our foundation. We love because He first loved us. Loving others. When we love God, we get to know what's upon His heart, His immense love for people, and how He has commanded us to love others. So starting a conversation sometimes can be scary. I'll be the first to tell you. But to get outside of ourselves, we need to look to Jesus. Think about what He did. He left the comfort of heaven because He cared enough to step into our world, into our lives. And finally, loving His call or His mission. Why do we need a digital day of outreach? Because the God who loves us has given us a call and a mission. We are His conduits of love. We are to live our lives on mission. going where people are. Everyone is on a spiritual journey. And it's such a privilege that we get to guide them or help them in their next step of their spiritual journey. We have such a privilege to be part of God's team, to be invited to his mission. So one of the simplest way to picture what a DDO is simply this. It's like a share party, okay, right? It's a fun gathering, a party of like-minded people. And what's unique about this party, unlike most party you go to, is that all the guests have at some point experienced the greatest news of their lives. And not only that, they know about the gift of grace, hope, and love in their lives. And so this party has one sole purpose. They have come together to share it, right? Their focus is not on each other in the party, but on those who are not yet part of the party. So they set aside time intentionally in this share party to connect and talk with others, their friends, family, co-workers, about this good news and the gift they've come to enjoy, and inviting them to the party. So a DDO is like a share party. So why does it matter? God, loving others, loving his call or mission. And one final thing before I move to the how is having this right mindset as we approach the digital day of outreach. We've all been called to go, right? We all know that. And you join this call because we need to go. Yet often we don't, or the people in our pews or the people around us in our Christian community don't, or we hesitate. Perhaps it's because we don't fully understand what success looks like, or we misunderstand the success criteria. I'd like to present to you that I believe success is simple. It's really taking the step that God wants us to take, is to obey God. And in Crew, we often say success in witnessing is simply taking the initiative to share Christ in the power of the Holy Spirit and then leaving the results to God. We need to know that this taking the initiative is simply obeying that step of faith that God wants you to take. And then depending on the power of the Holy Spirit, it's not how skills or how conversational you are, how persuasive you are. And then remember, people on that journey, right? The spiritual journey, you cannot move them one step closer to God. That's God's job. We just need to be faithful to share, to be a good friend and a good listener. And you know what? That's what #ready is all about. Truly about activating and releasing this whole new generation of believers to make a difference by taking simple steps to initiate with those around them. And there's so many opportunities in and through digital. All right. So let's get to the practical part, right? As on how to put together a digital day of outreach. And to do that, I just want you to first visualize it, right? I'm going to show you a video. This is a video of an actual event in Manila a couple of years back. It's pre-COVID, of course, but you get the idea. But I want you to just picture, what would this look like for your community, for your church, and for your youth group? You ready? Here we go.
Hi everyone, Podi here from YesDS. We are so grateful in Philippines. We are partnering with Indigitas to run the digital outreach, and we learn so much in this event. And we see that many people, many young people here, pastor, youth leader, that can see the benefit or the power of sharing Jesus online, the power of social media, the power of instant messaging, how we can start gospel conversation easily, how do we start to share Jesus easily. It is a very useful tool to help us to reach the unreached, and also it is very easy to use.
All right, I think you got a sense of what. Oops, okay. So I want to introduce to you one of the key components of the actual digital outreach piece. Okay, we use this simple engagement framework called, you can see here, the first thing you do is you pray, you message, you post, and you engage. And then you repeat, okay? So I'm going to break it down for you. But just to be clear, this piece here is like the main event or the meat of the Digital Day of Outreach. Okay, it's the point where your participants will be engaging with their friends and their social networks, like you saw in the video, right? They were gathered around in tables, they were texting, they were typing on their computers, they were doing this process, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And after I explain this part, I will step back to talk about the overall event, okay? The program flow, the schedule, so hang in there, all right? So for now, I'm zooming in on one of the key pieces of the Digital Day of Outreach event. This is the engagement model. And what I'm going through with you is also what you will be briefing your community and participants, okay? And these are the steps you'll be encouraging them to take. Does that make sense? Okay? All right, here we go. So the first part is pray. And here, very common, we all know that we want to start with prayer, but it's important to ask God to give us the power of the Holy Spirit. And, we're learning to surrender to Him, right? But we want to pray specifically that God lays on our hearts the people that He wants us to talk to, that He can lead us to significant conversations, spiritual conversations. So in your group, you can take turns to just kind of bathe it in prayer, right? This is, after all, a spiritual activity. We want to walk in full dependence upon the Lord. Okay? So don't need to emphasize too much about this. But the second part, after you've prayed, is you begin to message your friends. Start with those that you notice are online or recently posted something, right? You can direct your message to specific friends and send them a personalized message. See, sending a video is often a good way to get a conversation going, right? And we recommend using falling plates. We'll watch that short clip shortly, but it could be as simple as this. Hey, John, I just watched this video and I was wondering what you thought of it. It's only 4 minutes. Watch it and let me know what you think, right? So you can pre-write some of these for your community. The reason is because sometimes we get stuck. We just need something to get the engine going, okay? So we recommend you share this little personalized message to about 30 friends, okay? And take frequent breaks, right? Every 10 or so names, you can take a break, stretch and things like that, okay? So after you spend a bit of time on the message piece, remember the number 2 is you direct message, okay? You're actually looking for your friends online, whether it's a Facebook or Instagram, doesn't matter. You find them, you directly message them, right? Now, it's slightly different. Now, you want to reach out to even broader audience than your immediate friends, okay? So everyone on this share party can post it to various social media channels, and make it public, right? So lots of people see it, or just make for all your friends or people who follow you. And you can personalize your message again, however you like, but be creative. And you can even share with them in many languages, because you may have friends following you from Thailand, you may have friends in Korea, so you can post it as well. As people like or comment your post, make sure to reply, engage with them. So some of you may be asking, what about those who don't have social media? I'm not very frequent. I don't have many friends. You can send WhatsApp messages, I'll explain that shortly, okay? But I just want to show you one example of like a recent Digital Day of Outreach I did with the church, what they did. These are just creative ways. Some of you would recognize this is your Insta story, right? So they just post this, put a little clip there, and then they just wait if their friends notice it, right? So here's just some examples of just how you can come up with different ways So those that don't have social media, you can send a post with the video link via WhatsApp. Many of the youth at this recent DDO did just that. They send directly through WeChat, Telegram, Facebook Messenger, and WhatsApp. Every imaginable channel platform you have, you can do that. And then just wait, see what they do. And as they respond, as you've done that, you've posted your message, you've posted on your social channels, your friends will begin to see it, read it, and watch it. And so they might have already replied. So start interacting with them, right? So if you share the video, right, that's a good way to start a conversation. So, hey, what was your favorite part? What did you think was interesting, or what struck you? Or you can share a little bit like, oh, when I saw this, I thought, you fill in the blanks. And then I don't want to read all the questions, but basically that's a gist of it, right? So later on, I'll share with you this little idea of ask, listen, share, just very briefly. But this is the piece where you've already done, the post, that message and post, you come to engage, okay? And then you repeat, right? Basically, you repeat and share the ideas you have, because it's meant to be fun, right? What are you trying to do? What have you experimented with? And encourage each other and tell others what God is doing, okay? So that's the process. So this is the simple engagement model in Digital Day of Outreach. If you happen to have questions, by the way, you can type in the chat. At the end of this talk, I will take some questions. Okay, so feel free to type in the questions. For now, I will just keep pressing on, assuming that you got the big picture. All right. So now I'm going to step back a little bit. Right. So that's the engagement model. Right. The pray, message, post, engage. Pray, message, post, engage, right? That's a cycle. It sits within this program flow. I will zoom out a little bit to show you where it fits and how it's structured, okay? There are three main chunks, right, to consider. So the first piece here is this together alone time. So as I just said, you are together in a room, but you are alone, right? You saw the video. They were sitting together on a table, but they're alone because they're reaching out to their friends. It's not Michael's friend, it's not Susan's friend, it's my friends, right? So I pray, I message, I post, and I engage, okay? Then there is a small group time, right? Where we get together, we just pause for a while and see, oh, how many of you shared, what is God doing? What are you learning? Okay, so that's a little bit of interaction as a community. So, and then finally, at the end of the day, there is a final large group time. Okay, this is where we get to tell testimonies and stories. I remember attending one of a DDO where this gal shared, guess what? My mom watched the video I post. This was a college student. She just could not believe that her mom actually clicked on it, watched it, and messaged her and said, what's this you post? And they've got into a conversation. The mom was non-religious, and so they began to have a good conversation. And this was through a digital day of outreach. You didn't think it's possible, but that happened, right? So this is where you give glory to God. This is what God did. Praise Him, right? Right. So now to put it all together, what you're seeing here on the screen now is an overall schedule, right? Overall schedule of the Digital Day of Outreach. It's a little small, but don't worry. I told you earlier in the beginning, we have a kit that you can download, okay? Everything is there, right? But typically for the sample schedule, we'll show you we recommend 3 hours or more, but you can adjust as needed. It could be an afternoon on a weekend. It could be an evening on a weekday. It's up to you. The key is, of course, it should be good for the people that is able to come, but it's especially good time to connect with others online, right? So you know what that is. In this 3 hours, there are 3 main segments: equip, share, and celebrate. Okay, so just briefly walk through it. The equip piece is to really prepare ourselves for what we're going to engage in step 2. Right, you have the welcome, you have your setup, right, and maybe a worship time or devotion and a motivational talk. Again, right? You got to frame this well. This is something we're engaging for the kingdom, right? So you could get your youth pastor to share, you could invite someone, or just the organizer can just share something just to encourage them, right? And then if there's time and if you think your group needs it, you can have a bit of training or just some reminders or review. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about the training and equipping shortly, right? Then you move into the main segment, which I already covered earlier. That's the piece where we say together alone, right? Small group time. And then when we move to step 3, it is the final group time and the close of the event and the celebration. All that God did. Okay, 3 simple steps: equip, share, and celebrate. Okay. Right, so in this, in the equip segment, you may notice that there is actually an opportunity for training. Training always sets us up for success, right? And you know your people well, what kind of training they need. Some of them will need to be equipped to know how to share their faith, because you got to trust God. Something good will come out of this. People ask you about your faith. How are you going to share your faith? Right? Do you know how to do it? So the recent DDO that I did with this local church in Singapore, they decided to do their training a week before or the weekend before. In fact, they actually scheduled it as part of their youth church. So 2 Saturdays in a row, train and equip first, and then the following Saturday is the actual DDO. All right. So I just want to run through very briefly, because today's session is really more on the how to put together this DDO. We won't have time to go into the specific training, but as I mentioned in the kit, we have all the resources and you can follow along, right? So the first thing is this framework that we highly recommend, right? It's called the Ask, Listen, Share framework, right? It helps you to have this posture where we want to come alongside your friend or your family member. We're not here to tell you stuff. I'll tell you about Jesus, I'll tell you what's the right way, Here, we want to learn to ask good questions. And, here in the training, we talk about like how to ask good open questions, because it will draw out, and help people really reveal something they don't normally talk about. And then as they do it, you listen, you listen for understanding. Actually, some of this listening is already taking place, because when you look at their social media feed, you might already be picking up certain things, certain trends, certain observations, and you can pray for them, right? But as they respond to the questions you ask, or maybe when they tell you about what they thought of the video, you're listening for understanding. And then finally, you share from the heart. And when we say share, a lot of people just think, oh, I'm just going to tell you the gospel now, okay, the Romans road, the 4 spiritual laws. Not necessarily. Sometimes you share your story, your personal testimony, and maybe you present the gospel message as well, right? So this Ask, Listen, Share is a very key framework. Again, as I mentioned, in the kit, you have all of that, right? And some of us are wondering, like, how do I equip myself to share my faith? I feel nervous, is there a tool that can help me? Oh, many of you already know this, but God Tools is an excellent tool in many languages. It's used globally, but on your mobile phone, you can download on both Android and Apple this tool that, and I'll just briefly explain this, what else you can do with it, right? Besides the familiar tools like the 4 spiritual laws or knowing God personally, it also has some other less familiar tools like the 4, and honor restored. Okay, that's a cool one, because in an Asian context, a lot of shame, right? Actually, Christ has come to restore honor to the people he has redeemed. If you can present that, it will feel so attractive, and so compelling. So, and that booklet is that resource is on the God Tools app. And believe it or not, actually God Tools also has modules, what they call lessons. And the lessons will teach you how to share your faith, right? There is a tool called Teach Me to Share, But under the lessons tab, there's also topics like this that you see here: how to be courageous in having a conversation, how to have everyday connections on a deeper level, and the power of your God story, and many more. Okay, so I want to encourage you to check out God Tools. And this is an excellent resource for yourself, but also all your participants, because you want to equip them, right? So that they are ready to share, right? So I've already mentioned falling plates, but I want you to just for a while, because I know this is important, I want you to watch along this video. It's only 4 minutes, okay? And just pretend you are someone receiving this, and that was being shared by a DDO participant. Okay, and then I will walk you through very briefly a sample conversation. Okay? All right, let's watch this.
You. Look at your eyes. Look at them. Speckled, colorful, each one unique. And I created every one of them. I created everything, the universe, and you. I gave you your personality. I made you pure, complex. And every day, I give you life. I love you. But something happened. You cheated on me. You didn't trust me. You sinned. You cut yourself off from me. And although you're still alive, you were slowly dying. So you looked for other things. To fill the void. But nothing works. It just kills you faster. And it separates us more and more. What are you searching for? I don't want you to die. I created you, not to be destroyed, but to know me. So I became one of you, a fragile creation. I was tempted, but I never sinned. I came to save you. You have so many sins. And they have a cost. Someone has to die, you or me. So I took on your sin and traded in my life for yours. And I died in your place. Because I love you. Then, from the dead. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am Jesus. I'm not here to condemn you. I came to bring you back to life. Rely on me. I will forgive you and give you eternal life. I love you. And I did all of this to have a relationship with you. Will you follow me? you.
Sorry, I got to stop it. Okay. All right. Okay. So you've just shared that clip with a friend, right? So this is sample conversation of like how how it could go. Say, hi Ace, how you doing? Hi, hello, I'm doing well. Hi, how are you? That's good to hear. I'm doing good too. Thanks for asking. How are you adjusting to quarantine? The friend says, adjusting, not going out, fear of getting the virus. Well, same here, making sure to stay fit. So many deaths, it also scares me. I agree, it scares me too, but good thing we can still remain hopeful. And then this friend asks, where do I get that hope? I want to be hopeful. So I agree, it scares, it scares me, we can stay hopeful. Oh, where do I get hope? All right, sorry. I've been reflecting about it live and found this amazing video. Do you mind if I share it with you? He says yes. Okay, so that's where you share the clip. Right, let me think what you think. Let me know what you think after watching this video. So just a quick note here, it's very important to always ask a question or at least invite for them to respond so that you get a chance to come back and talk. Don't just share without any context. So this friend says, I'm done watching. Right, so what do you say then? Well, life is portrayed as a falling place. What do you think about that? He says, we are fragile. We're temporary. I'm a sinner. And then you respond, I hear you, bro. The video also suggests that everyone is on a spiritual journey. Do you think you're moving to God, towards God, or away from Him, or staying about the same? And this guy apparently has some faith. He says, I moved away from God the past years. And then you ask a genuine question, would you like to rediscover God again? Yes, I love to. So, and then from that point, you really can take it anywhere as God leads you. And that might be a good invitation to share a simple gospel message, right? So you see some of these questions being used. You don't have to use it all, but they are transition questions, right? That sort of take that little clip that we watch and move it into a deeper conversation and hopefully a spiritual topic as well. Okay, so I just want to give you that example, but this is also something you can train and equip your participants, right? Because sometimes they may not know what to do with it, right? Okay, all right, so back to tools and some equipping. Some of you wondering, besides the falling plates, is there something else I can use, right? Maybe that just doesn't resonate with me, or I don't think my friends will like it. So this app has plenty of short clips. Many of them actually don't even have dialogue. So it's just a short film, a little longer, maybe about 8 minutes, 9 minutes or longer, but they have a theme that sort of leads you into a conversation, right? And you can even also watch a Jesus film clip, maybe something of him performing a miracle. If you think that something would resonate with your friend, right? But be familiar with that film, right? Watch it first, or let it sink in and resonate before you share it, right? And then prepare some questions to ask. The awesome thing is that in this app, you actually get the questions embedded in there. For example, this short film called Control Z, right? Those of us Windows user or may be familiar with Control Z, but there are questions there like, what motivates people to want to redo things in life, right? What if I could start over from any point in your life and redo anything or everything? How far would you go back? Great question. Great question. Now, how do you deal with these things you wish you could redo in life? Right? Wow, these are just good conversation starters, and they've watched it and you have the context and you can chat, right? Okay. So again, some of these clips, this one's on the app, but you can find it on YouTube as well, right? On Jesus Film, their YouTube channel, and you can share directly. It's just like the Falling Place, you can share directly a YouTube link and then get them to watch it. Okay. So that's all the training and tools that we hope you can put in the hands of the Digital Day of Outreach participant. Now, it would empower them to live their life on mission in our digital world. That's our desire. As I wrap up here, I want to assure you again, as I started, we are committed to your success. We have prepared an excellent hosting kit just for you. It will guide you step by step how to organize a fun and simple event, to mobilize people to engage their work in a practical way and intentional way. You get promotional resources here. You can read stories of how others have done it. You get training videos and more, right? So you're wondering, where do I get this? Well, as I've showed at the beginning, right here, you can scan the QR code, or my colleagues will also type the link in the Zoom chat, and you just need to click it, and you just need to fill up a couple of details, and you'll be sent straight to the guide, and you can download it, and you can print it out as PDF, whatever you want to do with it. It's up to you. Okay, so I just leave it here for a short while as I transit to the very last part of today's webinar. I will tackle a few common challenges, and then I will open up for Q&A, right? So you might want to prepare your questions and type it in the chat, and I can do my best. I think we have some time to do so. So again, download this hosting kit, and we want to help you succeed. All right. Okay, let's move on. Some common challenges. Okay, we know this is a spiritual activity, right? Just remember that no spiritual activity goes without some opposition, right? If you are smooth sailing and you're not having any trouble at all, I'm more worried about that, right? So you have an enemy, and you have people falling sick, you have people throwing the towel, whatnot, right? But these might be common things that you might deal with, as particular to the context of the Digital Day of Outreach. Okay, so thanks to my crew, Philippines friends, they came up with these clever titles. The Unreal Time Phenomenon, when it takes 8 to 10 hours for your friend to reply. Okay, right. So as you can probably tell, when you do the Digital Day of Outreach, is in a particular point in time, right? Your friend could be watching a movie, he could be in the toilet, he could be cooking. I don't know. I mean, they didn't see their phone, or they just don't want to reply, right? No problem, right? Communicate your availability to discuss further. So you send a thing, right? They didn't reply for hours. Don't be discouraged. Just drop them a message and say, hey, I sent you this thing, and maybe you were busy. We'd love to talk more about it, right? And then respond to them when they're available, or set a time for another conversation. So this is intentionality, because sometimes you just don't know, right? Maybe they're avoiding the question. Maybe something is really pricking their heart, but they're just not ready to engage. So take note of this, all right? The second one is this unfinished conversational or conversation blues, right? When your friend suddenly drops out of the conversation, or you were having good chat, they were talking, and then suddenly they disappeared, right? That's happened, right? Just like the first one, you communicate sincerity. Say, it's okay. No worries, brother. Bro, go get your things done. We'll talk another time, right? Because remember, the cool thing about a DDO is that these are your friends or your family. You will see them next week at school, or you might connect with them at an office. So it's okay. You can just chat with them. Hey, that day I texted you, I shared with you this video clip, I'm just wondering, did you watch it? Right? And be ready to take it offline or another time. But meanwhile, you can pray for them. Just keep praying for them, right? So the part 2 of this is that, and you can try to pick up the conversation at a later date, right? So maybe you say something like that, I realized you weren't able to continue the topic, and was wondering what you're thinking about it, right? Or something similar. And be ready to answer any succeeding replies from your friends, of course, right? So this is a very common thing. It will happen because it's not like every time you put something on social media, people respond, right? That's understandable. Okay, the final one, what you call a sudden theology conversation, okay? When your friend brings the conversation into a sudden turn of doctrine or apologetics question, okay? It's going to happen. There'll be some friends who are antagonistic, they just want to poke fun at you, or there will be some people who are serious, they are really serious about getting the right answers. So you have to discern, right? Whether it's an opportunity to chat about it now or something you want to take offline, You can say something like, hey, I really appreciate your question. I would love to, hey, let's have coffee and talk more about this. I want to hear more, right? So that's a good way, because in the heat of the moment, sometimes people, it's not good to type, chat, right? So just keep in mind that everybody is on that journey, right? It's okay. They're not ready to make a decision. It's okay. But the fact that they are willing to engage you, it's a good sign, right? So thank them, and that he was willing to ask the question. And if you really don't know the answer, it's okay. You can be honest. You can take some time to research, and in fact, that's why when you do in the context of a community, and one of the things I love about the Digital Day of Outreach is that you're doing it together, or there are people of different maturity in the room, which is something I strongly recommend, right? You have some more grown-ups around, or they are more mature in their faith. They are also part of the conversation, part of the DDO. And somebody can call, hey, come, help me. This guy's asking about the reliability of the Bible. I don't know how to answer, that brother or that sister and older friend can help, right? So remember the love the questioner, right? The person behind the question. Give them a safe space to explore the topic together, right? So this is a key thing here that I want to encourage you, okay? All right, so that's it. Fine, but I just want to again repeat: maximize the talents and the gifts in your community. In fact, the DDO that I did recently in November, that church had their CGL, which is their small group leaders. They walked around in the room to encourage the youth, and it provide a bit of prompting, right? Because sometimes people can get distracted, but it's also cheering them on, and then it gives them opportunities to come alongside someone, right, who may be discouraged or feeling stuck. And that's going to happen because you may be wondering, oh, how come nobody's responding to me? Or why are they not responding? So you need some encouragement. And that's where the community comes in. Okay. Well, there you have it, right? This is how to host a digital day of outreach. And we want to encourage you to, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it in Easter, right? I'm looking at about 115 of you here, and I heard from the organizers that each of you represent different churches and organizations. If all of us host an event that is connecting or brings about 40 of us that participate, right? And let's say each of us are connecting with just 2 friends. What's the exponential? It's amazing, right? So we're looking at altogether about 368,000 people that will be engaging in some kind of conversation online. That's amazing, right? So I get excited thinking about that, right? And we are all rallying around the period of Easter, and together with One for Jesus and the Thirst Collective and Crew and Indigenous, we want to see something move in our city in Singapore, right? It's possible. It's possible. So I just want to encourage you, to ask questions, to download the kit, right? And when you've experienced this, we want to know how it went. So this is the part that I think #Ready also wants to highlight. What are the fun things you did? We want to feature on your social. We want you to tag us on Indigenous as well, and we want to sharpen this to make it even better. This has been used all across the world, but this time is the first time in Singapore we're doing it in a very concerted way. All right. So now I'm willing and ready to take some questions. I don't know if the MC is going to help me facilitate. I haven't been looking at the chat. So maybe David, you can jump in and let me know what questions I should answer, because I didn't read the questions before.
Yes, thanks, Simon, for the enlightening sharing. We have a question from Richard. How long should this texting message be? If we text to a few friends, how long should I wait for him or her to text a response? That's a good question, Simon.
Yeah, that's excellent question. Okay, so let me try to back up to that slide. So just apologize that it's going to look weird for you, but I just back up to the slide where I showed the flow. Okay, so you notice here, so when we put here, step 2 is where you pray, message, post, and engage, right? It's from 4 p.m. all the way to about 5 or 5:30. So you have a good hour or so of just, texting, praying, messaging, posting, praying, engaging, so on. In the midst of that, I recommend you group them in tables if you're doing in person, right? If you're doing on Zoom, you can do breakout rooms, of 5 people or 6 people, doesn't matter, right? Enough for critical mass. Then, they are doing it together alone time, but they also kind of coming back. So sometimes it can be like a 15 to 20 minutes or together alone, right? Then you come and have a bit of sharing for 15 minutes. And then as you do that, some you might be getting a message coming in. So you continue to engage and you continue to post. Yeah. So it's not hard and fast, but roughly that timing framework of 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and then 15 minutes again, and 20 minutes. You can use an hour max for this share period, or an hour and a half. It's up to you. Okay. I hope I answered that question. Yeah.
Thank you, Simon. There is a question to me posted directly so that I can share possibly anonymously. So I'll share on his behalf. So this person asked, what level of friendship before I can start engaging them? Can it be done to an acquaintance too?
Yeah, excellent. The fact that you're asking that, I sense like, that's a good posture. Honestly, I would say anybody and everybody, but really depends on your comfort level. So when you share, when you're direct messaging someone, it's likely that you would send it to somebody that you are familiar with, right? Or knows you somewhat, right? Probably not just an acquaintance. But, we talked about the praying, right? When you pray, somehow God may prompt you and say, I suddenly thought about my hairdresser, whom I just added on Facebook, and just I cannot shake off that my hairdresser, she just keeps coming to mind. Then I would say obey the Holy Spirit and just by faith, even though she's an acquaintance and just, I don't know, a service provider, or she just your hairdresser, just send her the video, or send her a quick message. Hey, I just thought about you, wondering how the pandemic has affected your business, And by the way, I'm with some friends. We just watched this video. It really moved me. I would love for you to watch it. Oh, and if she's Mandarin speaking, you send the Mandarin version, right? And then ask her, tell her, say, tell me what you think about it. And maybe she doesn't reply. That's okay. The next time you go cut your hair or wash your hair, you can ask, right? Hey, remember when I sent you that thing? Did you get a watch? Oh, she may say, yeah, I watched it. Oh, very good, very good. Then that's your chance to have a conversation, right? And she was just acquaintance, right? So anyway, that's a scenario I can totally imagine is possible, and so I will not limit it to just close friends, but as the Lord leads. When you post it on your wall, you will have people who like it or make a comment, and those could be just friend of friend, and somebody you add and you couldn't remember, or as an acquaintance. It's okay. They liked it. They engaged with the post. You can ping them. So yeah, I hope it helps.
Thanks, Simon. Next question is about the use of God tools. He says, great insight. Could you share how have you used God tools to share online?
Wonderful. Yes. All right. So if the question is about how you share God tools online, um, the when I mentioned to you, it's an app on your phone. Okay. So there is an online version. If you go to knowgod.com, okay, my colleagues will put it in the chat for me. www.knowgod.com. You will also have the same content as the God tools. You can pick whatever tool you want. You can go right to that page and you can click the URL and paste it for your friend. So on the app, for those of you who are a little bit more savvy, you can also share it and then share a special link to your friend. And as you swipe the screen, it will also swipe on their computer, right? So that's a new feature. I didn't bring that up because I didn't want to confuse you, but I know some of you are pretty savvy here. You can use that, right? You can use so many other ways. You can cut and paste. You can take a screenshot. But the app itself, yeah. I mean, you probably won't hold the phone, or you just do a screen capture and then you just send it, or you just ask them to go to the app and read themselves. That's also possible. Yeah.
Great. And someone is also asking if the conversation becomes aggressive or too emotional, how would you deal with it?
That's a good question. I would love to hear what they, yeah, I'll say what I'll do. I think I'm also, I definitely don't want anything to be offend anybody per se, but or even allow it to become aggressive. So this is where that framework, right? I mentioned ask, listen, share comes in very well, because sometimes it should just be ask and listen, and you shouldn't share. Yeah. I know this is tricky because sometimes we're so eager, right? But the Holy Spirit needs to guide us, right? You will sense, okay, whether it's an issue of my courage, a lack of courage, or is it, no, it's just not the right time. Again, I mentioned these are your connections. These are your friends, maybe your business clients. You will see them, or you can connect with them another time. So don't feel the hurry of like, you got to get it down. You got to say this 4 points, if not, I didn't do my job. Don't ever feel like that. Okay, here it's you're building relationship. You're taking the process. There is a journey they're on. Chances are, if they get aggressive, means it's touching on something, a raw nerve, and there are some hurts, right? So all the more we need to show love, right? So sometimes it helps to acknowledge, say something like, I can see you're angry, I can see you're upset, do you want to talk more about it, or should we grab coffee and chat more? So you don't need to engage the issue, because that issue in itself is, you heard it said before, you don't want to win the argument and lose the battle or lose the fight, right? So I think those are the principles that guide me. Yeah, I hope it helps. Yeah.
Thanks, Simon. There's a little note from one of the participants, especially for the Singapore context, that is very rather sensitive about the COVID times, about the need to maintain social distancing in your pictures we post online. So she wants to encourage that for the time being, we have to be careful with the pics we post on public platform to ensure social distancing or in accordance to safety measures or groups of 5.
Yes.
Just a thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. Young asked publicly, what should I do if my friends show not interest for a conversation that I want to share? What will be my response? They are not interested. So what should I respond? How should I do using the framework ask, listen, share?
So it depends whether they tell you they're not interested or they didn't even respond, right? If they indicated that they are not interested, that's okay. That means, we can chat about other things, right? Sometimes the not interested is a smoke screen, right? So the journey that each of us need to be on is to help discover, right? Why are they saying they're not interested, right? We know in the spiritual realm, that the enemy is also at work, right? So, and they just, are filling up with their work, or they have other things that they are worried about, right? So then my stance is that I think I show care and love to this person in the things that matter to them, right? Yes, I'm keen to tell you about my faith and about why this matters, but I'm also keen about your life, so if they're not interested to talk about spiritual things, no problem, but you show interest in their life. And so some of the questions that we've mentioned there, doesn't necessarily go into a spiritual topic. Like for example, you saw I read to you the questions from that short film. They're all pretty generic questions, like, if you could redo life, what would you do? Right? They're not spiritual, but it reveals something about the person, right? And that's where again the ask, listen, share come in. And you can share something that shows that, hey, this is how I overcome this, or this is how I would redo life or not redo, and why, right? So they begin to see some glimpses of God at work in you. And again, this is God needs to do the work, not you. Your part is to initiate and to be courageous and, in connecting, right? God will move them that next step. And you'd be surprised, sometimes God would, move them several steps very fast, and without much of your doing. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll just have two more questions.
Yes.
So one of the question would be, are we allowed to post the videos in Jesus Film on our personal social media? So quick response to that, Simon?
Yes, if you grab it from the YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and look for Jesus Film Project. You find that channel and you just grab the link on YouTube. Most definitely. Yeah, you're not ripping it up or downloading it and changing it. No issue. You can share on your social media as much as you like. Yeah.
Awesome. How do I rally my church about hosting DDO? Should I group them in age groups, seniors, youths, young adults? Have you seen any DDOs hosted for church at a church-wide scale?
Yeah. In Singapore, I think I've not personally been involved in one like that. The ones that I've been participating in tend to be, around an affinity group, right, where it's, or by age, youth or young adults, but that's not to say, others cannot participate in other ways, right? So I think this one, I can't tell you what is best in your own church setting. Maybe this is where you discuss with a few interested folks in your church, maybe even your outreach pastor or evangelism coordinator, and say, hey, how should we position this? It actually would be cool to see the whole church come together. But sometimes, young people don't like to be with older folks, right? They want to do their own thing, right? So maybe the young people won't come if you do it that direction, right? So your context, yeah. The young people would do it, they will play music, they would have fun snacks, maybe not so if they're older folks. So again, right, I mean, I think that the general principles are there. We would love to hear how you experiment and what you learn from it. Yeah. So I hope that helps. I know it's not quite, I hope it's satisfactory enough.
Yeah, I like how you share about the affinity group, because a fun fact that we already know is that in Singapore, one of the most accessed resources is the Jesus Film in the Cantonese language. So it always makes me wonder, wow, if we could do DDOs at the affinity group level, it could be a powerful way also.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, Eugene will have the right to ask the last question, which he has posted in the chat. Are there other reasons to get everyone to come together to do this? Some people may choose to do this own time, own target as led.
Are there other reasons to do it
together?
Yeah, I would say, okay, David, ask that again. I didn't quite catch it. One more time.
Are there other reasons to get everyone to come together to do this? Because the concern for Eugene might be some people may choose to do this on their own time, own target. Why need to come together
Okay,
to do DDO?
I get it. Yeah. All right. I'll give you my politically not correct answer. I think the reason, okay, I'll just candidly put it, right? So if you say, you guys just go, when you have time, just reach out to your friends, it's not going to happen, right? People do, some will. But when you come together, there's something about it's a community, encouraging one another. The reality is that we all are not naturally inclined, to just reach out like that. Right? But when we come together as community, we say, hey, let's allow God to, let our faith arise as we trust God. I mean, each of us maybe have hundreds, or sometimes some have thousands of people that are connected in our social networks, right? If we just take a step of faith, God will reveal to us and kind of prompt us to talk to just a few, in that Saturday afternoon, right? And by my step, I'm encouraging my brother and my sister as well, right? And there's something unique when you are collectively going for it. I mean, we all know, like even your Good Neighbor Day, or the serve the migrant workers, or different things like that. If I ask you, David, you can do it. This is the reason, go do it yourself. It's, maybe David would do it, but some others will be like, I got no motivation, But we say, let's come together as a small group and we do it. There's a little bit of a nudge and a little bit of a energy to it. Yeah, I think you guys catch what I'm trying to say. And I think you got to give it a try. So I didn't mention this, but some of you are thinking big numbers, right? So, how many people can I gather? You notice I deliberately don't say that, because it doesn't matter. You can have 15 people come together. You can have 50. You can have 150. It doesn't matter. If 15 people are willing to come together in a room, social distancing, right? But they are willing to spend 2 hours or 3 hours together and say, let's trust God, pray for our friends, reach out to them. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. If 50 people want to do it, awesome. 150, great, So numbers is not the thing here. We're not in a numbers game, right? But it's faithfulness and taking that first step to do it.
Well, we've come to the end of the Q&A. So Simon, over to you for the final words of encouragement before you pass to Maggie.
Well, I just want to say to you guys, I really am very encouraged. And I'm not saying this just because it's the thing that speakers say, right? My team, the Indigenous team, rushed for this kit to be formed because a new version of it, just for you guys. I'm serious. I don't mean to say it, it's not a guilt trip at all, but it is a brand new put together, because we have a number of resources that we've had from the past, but we are collating it, and we really desire that the people of God in our own city will step up. Many of you here at church, leaders, or pastors, or outreach ministers, take this, bring it to someone else and say, hey, pray over it, and say, we want to trust God to do something about this. Okay. Because in the Easter season, right? I mean, we're really hoping, right? Some of you would say, I'm going to host it the weekend before Easter. I'm going to host it the Easter Sunday itself. Last Easter, we had a Methodist church that did just that. A youth group. On Easter Sunday, they finished the Easter service. They continued with a digital day of outreach. Awesome. I think they had 20, 30 people come. Love it. So this is a tangible way for us to really live our life on mission in our digital world. Okay, so the kit is there. There's one more thing I want to say. I didn't get to say earlier. On our team, you see on maybe on the screen here is Maggie. Her name is #readyadmin, but that's Maggie, and we have decided that we will host a taster. Okay, a taster digital day of outreach. Okay, you're like, what is this? Right? We realize for some of you, you may enjoy experiencing it first before you host one for your own church or your youth group or your community. Okay, so we're gonna do a taster. This is post Chinese New Year, post Valentine's Day, February 19th. Okay, February 19th, we're going to host a digital day of outreach. Okay, and we are going to host it just for you guys. Okay, so come, you can bring another friend or a couple, doesn't matter, a few more. We're going to do a digital day of outreach ourselves. Okay, experience it, and we'll debrief a little bit, right? Then after you've tasted it, you'll be like, oh yes, I want to see this in my church, like, okay. Some of you don't need this taster. You're already convinced. I've already downloaded the kit and ready to go. But some of you want this experience, and Maggie is going to help host that, and the Indigenous team is going to support it as well. So Maggie, she's going to launch a poll now. Please tell us which timing works better for you for a DDO taster. This is not a commitment, but just indicate to us, okay, if we host it on February 19th, which one are you more likely to be able to participate? Okay, so just it's an indication so that we know how to plan. Thank you very much. Yeah, just submit the poll. Oh, yeah, I would hate to see it's 50-50. Then Maggie might need to split herself 2 ways now. Okay.
It's slowly becoming almost 50-50.
Almost 50. But okay, and if you can't make it, you can always ask a friend, or ask another teammate, say, hey, we are wanting to host this, but we need some people to experience it. Come for it. I can't make it because I got a wedding, I have something, yeah, we totally get it. Okay, thank you so much. You should get an email or some info from Maggie soon about signing up for the taster. Okay, so again, a taster, just as the name suggests, it gives you a taste, right? But we will do an actual DDO, a shorter one, actual DDO where you get to participate. And then you experience it, and then you have like, oh, I'm going to do this different. Oh, I'm going to add this part here, and you can even learn from it. Okay. Maggie or David, anything you want to add?
No more. So thanks, Simon. So everybody say and repeat after me. Pray, message, post, engage. Ask, listen, share. Again, pray, message, post, engage, ask, listen, share. So these are the 7 words that we will take away. Of course, more of the content is in the recording, but these are the 7 key words I learned personally on how to host a DDO. So thank you everyone for your time, and we want to wish you a blessed weekend and a week ahead. Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate
Blessed
everyone.
Chinese New Year.
Yeah, thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
for joining us.